At a very young age, I became very interested in fishing. We have tremendous fishing here because of our close proximity to the Gulf Stream, so it became a mecca for that. And what I learned over time was I had just as much passion for the boats as I did the fishing.
The local boat building community here in the Outer Banks is sort of an amazing little pocket of talent and history and necessity.
I had a need just like the early pioneers. I needed a new boat, and I figured, well, I'll just build it myself.
Being a yard dog is, anyone who's worked in a boatyard can appreciate that term. Being a carpenter or a craftsman or a tradesman in the marine industry it's dirty, hard work.
Working with wood is what we all have in common here. It doesn't always go well. Making wood go around these shapes like this, sometimes you break boards and sometimes there's, cussing involved, and it certainly would be no fun if I didn't get to work with my friends every day.
We're probably the largest area in the world for building sport boats, right here in Dare County. We certainly stand on the shoulders of our predecessors. If it weren't for the guys that built the $25,000 boats in the 70s that learned how to put flare in a boat and learn this stuff, I don't think we'd be there today without them.
The tradition used to be in the fishing season or the summertime, people would fish and take people fishing. In the wintertime, those mates and captains would build boats.
There's some amazing craftsmen and builders here, fishermen that have been boat builders. It was a necessity for them to build their boats. They were building the boats they were fishing on. And it's really developed over the generations into what it is today.
Now it's a bit more of a booming, world-renowned boat building place. And I would say the credit for that goes to Buddy Davis. I mean, you can go to Puerto Rico, you can go to Italy, you can go to the Azores. Everybody knows of Buddy Davis.
The history of Dare County boat building, for the most part, has been passed down orally from generation to generation with young guys that come into the boat shops. Some of them coming from fishing or commercial fishing into the boat building industry, some of them with carpentry experience, some from other areas. And it's all this passed down information.
I apprenticed with a guy named Robin Smith down here. Started working with him for at least 5 or 6, maybe 7 years before I went out on my own. And become friends with a naval architect who actually designed the first boat that I was involved with building, which was a Robin Smith 65. That guy's name was Peanut, or Glenn Hawk.
Well, the Carolina Flyer itself helps us to run through some really choppy seas. And the modified V hulls, we have a long ways to go, 40 miles, sometimes longer than that. So it was a need for the boat to ride well. We have a unique style, and that's what has propelled this boat.
Boat building, historically, has evolved. Over the generations, what was a local boat building industry has become an international boat building center here, and the level of quality and craftsmanship has increased, to keep up with the pace of the international demand.
I strive to resemble Warren O'Neill and Omi Tillett's boats more than other ones, just because I think that their traditional lines are more in keeping with this area, and they're purposely designed for our rough inlet.
It really is exciting to see one of these boats finished and then look at it and say, what could I do to make it just a little bit better? So that's really exciting to be part of that process. And I really think here on the Outer Banks, well, I know we are, we've been trendsetters for around the world. Back in the 70s, our need wasn't nothing like it is now. If you had a boat that would go 20 knots, it was considered a fast boat. And if you had an air conditioner, you were top of the line. Well, that's evolved to something quite different now, where we have boats that are cruising at 40 knots.
You know, the end process of these vessels, it's a culmination of a lot of creative energy coming together, you know, from the owners to the builders to the designers.
You know, it wasn't that long ago I helped my father-in-law, who was a boat builder, and we cut frames out of juniper and plank-on frame construction. Now that's involved to composite carbon fibers and different resins to make the boats lighter, stronger, faster.
People ask me why I don't use foam or Divinysil or these other materials that other builders are using, and it's simply because I like to run my tools through Spanish cedar and juniper. It's a tactile thing.
We embrace modern technologies and materials and, you know, utilizing new tools, computers and automation, CNC work, plotter cutters, things of that nature. It's getting harder and harder to get really good wood, so they're turning to alternatives and alternative methods for the finishes on the exterior of the boats, and that's where we have to, you know, problem solve our way through and figure out how to come up with a solution for something that's sort of in front of us at any given time, and it's always moving forward.
The coolest part of all of it is the lofting part. Up on that mezzanine, those jigs are the form that the boat gets built around. Lofting is a process of taking different views of the boat and combining the measurements of them and then making that in a full scale and then giving birth to a three-dimensional object.
It's a challenge to make the boat look right, sit right, perform right, but that's done over time. You know, there's something besides just the look of a boat that is really important. Every builder has his own little twist or style.
At the end of our process, you know, we put our names on the back of these boats, but the back of the boat is really kind of the front of the boat. When you're walking down the dock, the first thing you typically see is the back of the boat. So when you see the name, it's kind of like seeing the face of the boat. So it says a lot for the whole vessel, sort of the introduction to the boat.
When you build the interior of one of these boats out, it's different than a home or a house. Things aren't square and straight. And we're fortunate that we have some incredible craftsmen, and they get to use some of the finest and rarest woods and materials from around the world.
You know, family heirloom is what I like to think that I'm producing. It really makes me want to build something that is going to last, try to overbuild them and try to make them as durable as possible, knowing that most of my people want to keep that boat and give it to their kids when the time comes. Sometimes with this kind of thing, you feel initially like you're in over your head, but you know, that's the way all challenges are.
You know, we've got to work with some incredible educated people, naval architects from around the world. I don't know if I would trade all that for the practical experience we've learned over the last 40 or 50 years.
I've got a deck built above the tree line where I can sit up there and watch all of these boats running by in the channel, and I can sit there with my family or whoever's with me and identify the builders of each boats.
The Outer Banks influences me as far as my state of calmness, I suppose, and my peace of mind in my workplace. I get inspiration from all over the place, from nature. It comes from everywhere.
It's not a sideline job, it's a real industry, and it's a lifetime job for a lot of our people.
Everybody, even with the competition, it's a family of people here. It's a small community of boat builders.
For the rest of my life, I want to take more boat rides, and the ultimate boat ride is going to be the longest one, and it's going to be maybe not around the world, but a long, long boat ride.